Welcome to the November 2023 Park City Market Talk webinar. I'm Ron Wilstein, a broker at Keller Williams Luxury Properties in Park City.
And I'm Josh Charles. I'm a real estate advisor here at the Wilstein team.
All right, well, let's get on to what's been happening in Park City. And of course, we just went through Halloween. Halloween in Park City is a big deal. Everybody likes to dress up, particularly the dogs. They like their costumes and their costumes and their costumes. We've got a lot of dogs in Park City. We love those dogs. And on Halloween, after a while, the people and the dogs all look alike. It's amazing. It's good old-fashioned fun that we had in Park City. But now we're in November. And Josh, what happens in November?
It's about time for ski season. I'm very excited. Park City has its opening day, Friday, November 17th. We are counting down the days. And Deer Valley is scheduled to open Saturday, December 2nd, just a little bit after. We're getting some snowfall, but the ski areas are actually blowing quite a bit of snow to get prepped for that as well. If you want more information on these, you can visit ParkCityMountain.com or DeerValley.com for more specifics. I like clicking on the webcams a little bit as well. Kind of gives you an idea what's actually happening. Woodward at Park City is another great place to check out. They're open year-round, and you can check out their website as well.
You can go to WoodwardParkCity.com, get the latest update. And we just also want to show you the scheduled opening dates for other resorts in Utah, provided by Ski Utah.
So the beautiful thing about this area is there's a multitude of resorts within about an hour and a half's drive.
So let's share with you about Utah ski resorts ranking. Ski Magazine each and every year ranks the resorts in the country, dividing it between the best in the west and the best in the east. 7 of Utah's 15 resorts made the cut for Ski Magazine's release. 4 of those sit on the Wasatch Back, the east side of the range, and of those 3 made the top 10, including positions 1 and 2. You're in for a surprise if you've been following this year after year as to which ones made it. Park City's resorts have long dominated this position and at times has been the sole representative of the Wasatch Back, but this year's results of their polling has even surprised the staff at Ski Magazine. Powder Mountain was named the top resort in the West. This is followed by its neighbor Snow Basin, so they're both located in the Ogden Valley. Powder Mountain catapulted to the top position from the previous year being in the 18th position, so a huge jump. And Snow Basin was 14 and it jumped into the second spot this year. The major shift in ranking reflects a change that Ski Magazine conducted for its poll this past year. This year, in response to readers' feedback, it gave extra emphasis to categories that reflect the ski experience. Those include quality of the snow, how challenging the mountain is, terrain variety, grooming, and its lifts. And the resorts scored higher in those categories saw a boost in their rankings. Out to Ski area jumped up to the 7th position from 17, whereas Deer Valley dropped from number 2 to number 9. Then, of course, there was Snowbird. It was in the 13th position, followed by Park City Mountain Resort, which came in number 15. And finally, Brighton, which was left off last year's list, came in at 17. As curious as the rise of Powder Mountain and Snow Basin was to the notable positions of 1 and 2, the fall of Deer Valley was even more significant and a bit of a surprise. Deer Valley landed among the top 3 on the list in 1998 and spent 2 decades up there, including the number 1 position in North America in 2018. And they're still evaluated based upon what we know Deer Valley is famous for, their service and their food. But the readers were lamenting the perceived increase in crowds this past year since Alterra Mountain Resorts, which runs the Icon Pass, bought the property. The resort is working now to deal with this issue. It's also noteworthy that next year they plan to open 9 new lifts at Deer Valley, 7 runs, and 874 acres of terrain. And what they're doing is they're absorbing the new Mayflower development. And so it's just giving them a lot more land and space to spread out those excited skiers.
As we reflect back on last year's ski and snowboard season, wow, what an amazing year. If it wasn't 6 inches in the morning, we'd sleep in a little bit. We just got spoiled. We got lots and lots of powder. And that's what we're known for here, is that fantastic snow. It was deep. That is a fact.
Well, let's not forget about Alta. It finished the season in April with a record 901 inches, which was more snow than any other resort on the continent reported. We just had snow everywhere, and the early forecast is talking about a repeat of last year. So,
Ooh, I'll take it, Ron. I'm getting excited for winter already.
he's already tuned.
Absolutely.
All right, let's turn our attention to the Park City real estate market update. Over the past 12 months, there's been 2,698 sales, and this consists of homes, condominiums, and vacant land combined. That's all real estate companies combined, and that is down 11% or 345 sales. This graph here, we're looking at the period of November 2021 through October 2023. The red bar represents the last 12-month period, and the silver bars represents the 12 months before it. So you have a true year-to-year comparison of any changes. Right away, we're looking at number of sales, and you can see by all three categories, homes, condos, and lots, that number of transactions have definitely dropped off. Of course, things were crazy during the pandemic. This is the adjustment. So homes dropped from 564 to 469. That's a 17% decrease. Condos had a 36% decline to 701 from the previous 1,093. And then in the lot market, which catapulted up the previous year because there simply wasn't enough homes and condos on the market, so people were buying land, well, the next year gets the adjustment, a 63% drop from 551 to 204. And of course, we're talking about land here, and you only have so much land. So when you run out of that, you don't have any more to sell.
And here we're talking about the year-to-year comparison of home sales in specific areas. In Park City, it's down 20% from 131 to 105. Snyderville Basin, where it's down just 1 from 286 to 285, so not a big change there. And then Jordanelle is down from 147, down 46% to 79. All right, and here we're at the year-to-year comparison of condo sales. In Park City, we're down 26% from 318 sales down to 235. Snyderville Basin, we're down 51% from 538 down to 264. And in Jordanelle, it's decreased 15% from 237 to 202. And the year-to-year comparison for vacant land sales, like we were talking about, you can't sell what isn't there. So in Park City, we don't have a whole lot of vacant land to sell. So we're down 74% from 35 to 9. Snyderville Basin, we're 44% down from 117 down to 65. And in Jordanelle, 67% down from 399 to 130.
It's worth pointing out here that Jordanelle was so high because it had new undeveloped land to be acquired, and the other areas, naturally, mostly in Park City, had been already absorbed. There's very little land, and more than in Park City in the Snyderville Basin, but a lot less than Jordanelle. So that's why that graph looks the way it does. When you combine these together, you can't help but notice they're all going down. The number of sales in every category has dropped, and it's due in part by a lack of properties to purchase. It's also higher interest rates are impacting some of these transactions. Many are cash, but those that are not are impacted by that. And then just a slowdown in the market as it has adjusted kind of post-pandemic scenario. So let's turn our attention to prices and see what they've been doing while the number of sales have gone down. We know that the rule of supply and demand says if the number of transactions go down, you expect prices to drop and for it to adjust accordingly. We'll see what it does. We're looking here at the year-to-year comparison of home medium sold prices. Again, the silver bars represent the last 12 months. The red the time before that. And in this instance, in Park City and Snyderville Basin, the prices had dropped off some, either by 10% or 5%, but in Jordanelle, it went up by 65%, which is significant. So looking specifically at the numbers, in Park City, 10% decline from 3,940,000 to 3,530,000, so about 410,000. Snyderville Basin, we saw about a 5% decline from 2,200,000 to 2,091,000 and change, so it dropped about 100,000. And then we see this monster 65% increase in the Jordanelle, so we want to talk about that a little bit. We previously mentioned that there were 79 sales in the Jordanelle area in terms of homes. 28 of the sales were in the Tuhey subdivision, and 15 were among the Victory Ranch homes. Tuhey homes sold for between $2,245,000 on the low end, all the way up to $7,995,000, so say $8 million. And then Victory Ranch, the home sold for a low of $2,790,000 and all the way up to $8.5 million. Here we're looking at, again, the median price for Jordanelle has climbed 65%, but it's $2,837,000, and we've had some sales in the $8 million range. That accounts for that big change.
And the year-to-year comparison for condo median sold prices. Park City, we are actually up from $1,525,000, up 8% to $1,650,000. Snyderville Basin, we're down 10% from $1,055,000 down to $948,750. Jordanelle, we're up 11% from $968,850 to $1,074,730.
And now we're looking at vacant land again. Park City and Snyderville Basin and the Jordanelle. Park City, fewer properties, smaller sampling, it was only about 9. I dropped from 2,100,000 to 174,000. Again, you don't want to walk away from this and say, gee, prices are dropping in Park City. There were only 9 sales, and they were less expensive properties to begin with. In the Snyderville Basin, we saw, however, a 5% bump from 975,000 to 1,025,000. And then in Jordanelle, this looks sort of familiar, huge price increase, 84% this time, from 687,700 to 1,200,062,950. So let's talk about that again, because again, there's extenuating circumstances. We had 130 sales in the Jordanelle area in terms of land. 57 of them were Tuhey lots. 19 were Marcella, and you may not be familiar with Marcella, but that's part of the new Mayflower development. How much are Marcella lots? Start up $2,400,000. And you can see on our chart here, the median price is $1,200,000, so they're double that for the lowest price, and the top price of a sale at Marcella was $5,250,000. So that's obviously going to skew and adjust this statistic. The lot sales at Tuhey started at $700,000, again below the median price, but it went up to $2,925,000, well above it. It's heavily weighted on Marcella and Tuhey. So again, when we take them together, when we looked at them together in terms of number of sales, it was a downward arrow. Here it's kind of mixed in our year-to-year comparison, with declining in some instances and rising in others. Just tells us what we always know, that when it comes to a property's value, you got to look specifically at the property, at its competition, in order to understand its true value and where it's going, whether it's heading in the upward direction or the downward direction. I want to share with you this graph. This is the average cumulative days on the market of closed home sales versus active home sales. The properties that have sold, this is in 2023, days on the market typically 74 days, so about 2.5 months to be on the market if you're selling. However, if you're on the market and you're not priced to sell, or you have other elements that cause your property to not be bought, you could easily be on the market 165 days without a sale. And so that's important. If you think about selling and you really want to sell, then you take that into account. We have a lot of people who own properties in Park City, and they say, I want to sell, but I don't have to sell. And you can tell here a lot of people was half of a year not selling. And this graph here is median time on the market of closed sales. And this time we're looking at the last 6 months, the red bar, comparing it with the 6 months before it, just to see if the time on the market is going up or going down. You can tell that properties that are on the market, these are homes, are selling and closing in a little over a month. And the 6 months before it was about 50 days. It just shows you that while we can have a drop off in the number of sales that the graphs clearly indicated, mixed prices, some going up, some going down, those that are selling are still selling very quickly. If you're considering selling your Park City property during the upcoming ski and snowboard season, there's important things to consider. If you have a property that's a ski rental unit or particularly well suited for people to enjoy during the snow season, the guests and the tourists who are here in Park City are looking at this time. When they're booking their reservations, they're looking online ahead of time. So this is definitely the time you want to consider getting your questions answered and getting your property on the market for the upcoming ski season. First thing you want to know is the current comparable sold prices for your property. And this is assessing exactly the details of your property, the location, and its features, and comparing it against other comparable properties to get you an idea of what its current value is based upon what buyers were willing to pay. But you also need to know which properties are selling at new high prices and which ones are not. You can tell from our data that prices are going up in some categories and going down in others. You always want your property to be the one going up. And so if you're interested in knowing, reach out to us, let us know. We'll tell you what's happening with your particular neighborhood or your condo project and give you the data you need to know in order to make a decision. The appropriate advice obviously varies based upon the property and how buyers are negotiating for similar properties. So don't hesitate, give us a call. We're happy to answer your questions, provide you with specific data for your property so you can make a well-informed decision. Our phone number, 435-487-0151, or my email address, ron@thewilsteinteam.com. You can call or send an email there. We'll start out by getting you a free property value assessment, and then of course advice on what today's buyers are doing relative to your property. Josh is an expert at that. He specializes and will load you up with that information.
Absolutely.
So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Josh, to Jeremy, who isn't joining us today obviously, or myself. Phone numbers are there, email addresses are there, and as always, if you have any questions whatsoever, give us a call and bookmark BuyParkCity.com. And
Thanks for watching. We'd love to help you out.